We want to know some stuff about your competition years, man.
Ooh, competition years.
Yeah. Big J with Big J's Extreme Fitness, here with my man Marc the Machine Lobliner, TargetFitness.com. I just said your line.
Man?
What's up, brother?
I'm good, man. That's not my line. Welcome to the hood. As you see, there's a picture of me in the background. For the record, that was not my idea.
It's a little creepy.
I came back from filming American Grit, and my partner Chad had my big face. Look, I sleep in this couch at night. It pulls out to a bed, so I have to wake up every morning and look at myself. It's scary. It's really scary. So what's up, Jay?
Better than a mirror, though, because you always look like that on the picture.
You know, I'm always on point. I'm always in photography shape.
That's right.
My hair is always combed. Everything's on point.
Okay, so we're here, TargetFitness.com. We'll show
Yeah.
you around a little bit during the video. We're actually doing some workouts. We've got some business plans going on. We've got a lot of cool things coming up.
A lot of cool things.
But there's a few things that I wanted to talk to you about and inform the viewers that may or may not follow you. Obviously, all the information in the description box, you'll be able to find him on. But we want to know some stuff about your competition years, man.
Ooh, competition years.
Yeah.
I started competing at like 27 years old.
Which is about 30 years ago?
Yeah, I'm 35. I just haven't aged well. I look about 60 at this point. You know, honestly, I never wanted to compete. The reason I started competing, I'm not going to BS anybody, is because I owned a company at the time. I founded Civation.
Okay.
And at the time, our brand was not doing too hot. So I started a blog. We didn't have social media like we do now back then.
Years ago.
And I started a message board blog on bodybuilding.com. And I charted my road to a show. I decided to do a show because, well, what else are you going to do to promote supplements?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started.
How many years ago was this, real quick?
I was 27 years old, so it was what is that, 2007?
Okay, 07.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, not AAU, NPC.
No, I did all NPC shows at the time. I've never done a natural show. Now, I was completely natural up until 27. My endocrine system failed. So I competed in the NP. Well, I actually competed at 26. I competed in NPC, actually won national level shows, or won shows that qualified for nationals as a natural. I competed as a lightweight and as a middleweight. So
I've seen a lot of those pictures. We'll actually put some of those in the video.
I came in shredded. You know, that's all you can do.
Right.
When you're going up against mass monsters, that's how I won. Like when I went up the heart of Texas, for example.
Yep. I remember all those pictures.
I came in shredded, you know, and that's what I did, and I was able to do pretty well in the NPC, and that was how I started. But I never started like I was watching Rocky and pumping iron. Nah, I was promoting my business, but I always trained, and the reason bodybuilding made sense is I always loved the iron. Ever since I played football, I was a weightlifter. I powerlifted in my late teens, early 20s. I was a model, believe it or not. Again, I aged really poorly. I was a model in my mid 20s, and then a natural progression brought me into bodybuilding.
Right on, right on. So when you started competing, you got bit by the bug pretty quickly, right? Because you did another show right afterwards.
Well, I mean, honestly, it was like I want to get better. Like the first show I did the Carolina Clash, it was called at the time, and it was a national qualifier, and I actually won my weight class, and I was in the final pose down. But I looked at pictures, I didn't look good. No one showed up. It was one of those shows where no one showed up as a light heavyweight. And I belonged in the middleweight at best at the time. I just didn't diet enough. I looked about 12 weeks out at that show, but no one showed up, and I won. So then I kept dieting, did the Mountaineer, did pretty well in that, kept dieting, you know, moved forward, and then I was able to win the Heart of Texas. So I was able to really hone in my conditioning, but I literally competed.
What year did you win the Heart of Texas?
Well, it was 2008, I think.
2008.
2008.
Okay. So just a year later, you're winning shows.
I just had to get leaner. I had the base, man. When you power lift and you train like, and by that time I've been training since I was 13 years old. I'd already been training well over 10 years. Yeah. So I had the base.
Just maturity.
Yeah, I just didn't diet enough. And I always had good veins, always had, you know, my structure is my structure. God gave it to me. I can't really do much about it. Right. But I made the most of it, and I was always able to pose around my weaknesses. So, and boy, did I have some weaknesses, and boy, do I still have weaknesses.
And like everybody does. Everybody has weaknesses.
My arms, my calves, and I know that, and that's why I'm not disenfranchised.
Your chest?
Yeah, my chest is all I got.
Oh.
My chest is real, but I mean, my arms have come up over
Your chest
the years.
is actually bigger than my back.
my chest and my lats are something I actually had to work really hard on. My delts as well. Those were built for tough. You know, I worked my ass off for those. My chest, I've always had a dominant chest. So if you're gonna, and I have great, because I'm an Exos trainer. I know how to train muscles, right? But if you're gonna ask someone who, like, the part I would ask me if I wanted to grow something, how to grow it, is my arms. Because those are so goddamn stubborn that like every inch on these tiny arms, this is like every inch has been just fought, and I'm fighting the most horrible tricep insertions here. Yeah. And people are like, why are your arms so small? I'm like, because my parents suck.
Well, because your chest and your back is so freaking huge. I remember some of our first workouts years ago, you were incline pressing 405 for reps. And to me, that was extremely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'd already been out of the game for a while, but when I saw that, I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude is strong.
I mean, strength is, when you start as a powerlifter, I've always progressed. And I've gotten smarter. My lifts are different. I work more core now than I ever have. And I think, as you know, as you get older, you have to be more sensitive to what it is going to hurt you.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that you're going to snap your shit up. No, I'm trying to say
Let's
that...
get back into the show, though. Yeah. 08, you won the Heart of Texas. Keep going. What happened after that?
Shoot. At that point, I won... See, I did in 2009, I won the East Coast Classic, the Maryland Muscle Show. I believe it was called that. I happened to be on vacation in Hershey, Pennsylvania with my wife, my good friend Ron Parmenter, and I noticed there was a show that weekend. So I'm like, hey, why don't we skate over there? And I didn't even prep for it. I ended up doing really well in that show. Bam. In fact, that's probably my best look ever.
And why is that? Because you never get fat.
I just honestly, here's the reason. I'm just I just refuse. I can't bulk. I need to eat so much, but so my metabolism. We talked about this at dinner. It's like, for me to gain weight, for me to get out of shape, I'd have to eat an uncomfortable amount of calories, and I don't feel good when I eat like that.
I can vouch for that, because you and I have been friends for years, and I remember seeing you eat for the first time a few years back, and I thought, God, man, he must be off your diet or something. The guy's lean as hell, but he's eating almost as much as I eat. Yeah. I was 280 or 290 at the time when you were 230 or 240 and eating just as many calories as I was eating.
And people always point to drugs, and I know your channel isn't a drug channel, and neither is mine. I'll address topics if people ask about it. But people don't realize that my brother is an IFPA natural pro. He's 6'1", competes at 186 pounds. Shredded. My brother is shredded year round. He's a 41-year-old man. And at the end of the day, dude, he stays lean. There's a genetic component that's definitely at play with our body fat levels, and it is what it is.
But people that have seen some of your pictures from back in the day will argue with you. You're not really one of those lean guys, because you were kind of a bigger guy back. You were 300 pounds in high school.
I had to work my ass off to get that fat. I would eat a 10,000 calorie shake at night.
So that's why you were so big. You worked hard to get
and we had a little something in Southern California, and those of y'all from the West Coast can vouch for me. Every day, I had a 5x5 from In-N-Out Burger.
Jeez.
Every goddamn day, I ate a 5x5. That's why everybody's like, we're going to California. Let's go to In-N-Out. I'm like, no. I don't want any In-N-Out Burger. I played out that In-N-Out Burger throughout my teens.
You had livestock in In-N-Out.
It was a lot of In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
Every day.
So let's move forward, okay? So 09, you went and you just played around and won a show. What's after that?
Well, I'd been dabbling in the NPC, and I kept coming back, and I did this show, it was in Georgia. This guy, Ty Roteman-Felder, I'll call out names because I don't care. He can try to sue me, but right now... Go ahead and try it, Roteman. But I actually dominated that show, and I won't say this because I know I'm not a great bodybuilder. I'm not Phil Heath. I'm not Dexter Jackson. But I dominated that show, and Roteman came up to me before. He said, well, you won this show. I said, well, you're the promoter. Should you really be telling me that? And he said, but I'm not going to let you win because you're not on my team. And that's when I said, you know what?
I never heard that story.
Oh, yeah, Roteman's a piece of shit. I see him at expos every once in a while, and I just avoid him because if he confronts me, I'm afraid I'll punch him in his face. I just don't like the guy. He thinks he's a mafia. People in this industry, like these little backstage guys, they're just little peons, dude. Like, I love Jim Mannion. This is not a knock to Jim Mannion or Weinberger, but they have some real pieces of shit working for them, and that's what tarnishes the NPC's name. I love Look, I love these guys. I really do. I respect what they do. I'm not an anti-Mannion guy. I'm not an NPC guy, anti-NPC guy, but I am an anti-idiot guy. Yeah. But that guy, I witnessed it firsthand, or else I wouldn't be such a hater about the guy, I'm a hater when someone does something like that
for sure.
To use politics to affect any kind of thing. So I decided, it was that show and a couple, I decided to go NABA, which is I'd like to say It's a great international organization. In the U.S., it's not very great. But as a guy, I've been on TRT since I was 27. You know, so I'm not going to compete in natural shows, even though some natural organizations allow TRT, medically prescribed. So I decided to go and compete in NABA. And I actually...
NABA's what, for people who don't know?
NABA's the North... It's basically it's like the NPC, IFBB.
Different organization.
Different organization.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah,
it's National and North American...
North American.
Whatever, it's fucking stands for. So it stands for, it's a bodybuilding organization.
It'll be in the description box. We'll finally figure out what it means.
I decided to do a show, NABA. I decided to get away from politics, and I managed to. This is 2013.
13 now. Okay.
And I was able to obtain my pro card in NABA. And haters would be like,
I was there.
Yeah, you were. So Chris was there. It was a fun time, man.
Yeah.
I gotta apologize. I was a dick. You're like, are you okay? I'm like, no. Big J comes to me at IHOP. Dude, you're acting weird. Are you okay? Like,
I was gonna kick your ass.
You were, and I would have let you. I was too fucking hungry and tired to really do anything.
Yeah.
I was a dick. That's why. It's another reason why I'm not competing anymore. I can't do that in life. But
leave a comment below if you're a dick while you compete.
Oh, it's the most horrible feeling ever. That I was fine the week up to the show. Once that show hit and I won, I was like, dude, I just want to die right now. I just want to.
But you looked amazing. You were shredded. You were cut.
The best you look is the worst you feel.
The worst you are, actually. It's very unhealthy to be as lean as you were.
And so, I mean, people say like, well, it's not IFBB. No, it's not. And I think I could have done more in the IFBB if I wanted to, but I don't want to play the politics game or hire a coach who just gets me, you know, that look on stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end, that look not meaning how I look, but the judges to look at me is what that means.
Let's jump in head first now. You won your pro card. Did you do another show afterwards? I think you did.
I did a show last year.
Okay.
And honestly, NABA should be ashamed of themselves for the pros didn't get on stage till 11 p.m.
Yeah. Okay.
I had to hold a pump all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming anybody, but all I know is that I had no. Here's the kicker: there was no pump up equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to pump up with push-ups. I had thousands of grams of carbs in me trying to get through. Yeah. I was watery on stage. I looked worse than I did 10 weeks out, and I just couldn't get. So I go to the hotel room at night after moving around a little bit. I looked, and also the next day, I don't even. When I posted a picture of my wife Katie, and I was in. It was actually Fox News was there, Fox TV for American Grit, because I was leaving the next week for the TV show. And I was in tights, and I had the calf sleeves on and my LeBrons, my look they wanted for the show. And I could have stepped on any Europa show stage, any IFBB stage, and placed top 3 in that look. And I really, at that point, I'm like, God, why would I compete as a pro if this is how they treat their pros?
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, okay, whatever. But then I decided, you know what, I want to win a big show, and that's when I decided to think about doing the Universe.
Okay. Now, we're current. You were thinking about doing the Universe just months ago, right? And you were training up for it, talking all about it on the internet.
I was excited. I was ready at 13 weeks out.
Yeah, and you got all the way up until when, and then decided to change your mind. Recently.
Oh man, it was
news to me recently.
It was 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was in Vegas looking for our next distribution center, which we have. Loveland, Ohio will always be our headquarters. That's where we own the building. We own this warehouse. We don't lease it. We own it outright. We were opening up a West Coast fulfillment center in Vegas. And as it is, we have, let's say I can't count the amount of businesses I own on 2 hands. I'll need 2 feet and probably Big J's penis to count the rest of my businesses.
That's only one, though.
And we counted as 5.
Okay.
So anyway, it takes 2 hands, right? So anyway,
and let me just plug real quick. You have an amazing line out there. There's tons and tons and tons of products and companies that you have out in your warehouse, Tiger Fitness.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. And so I'm in Vegas with my partner, Chad, and I'm like, okay, so we have to open this warehouse. We have this company, MTS. We're undergoing a rebranding for Q2. Got all this going on. We have employees. We have this. I have a family. It's like, there's no way I can balance this. What can give? And there was one thing that can give, and that was the Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't do it. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm just going to be like, look, at the end of the day, you know, it's difficult as it is to balance family, training, and life. You throw in that variable of what NABA has is a very competitive show. The Mr. Universe, I'll put them top 10, the winners of the universe, on stage. Hell, Lee Priest used to win it, and he placed top 3 at the Olympia. So, you know, you look at that, it's an extremely competitive show. I'm not going to go in there unless I'm 100%. And also, I don't see my life slowing down because businesses are just growing. I'm taking on more responsibility.
Right.
And that's what
we talked about 5 different situations that we're jumping into next month
together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's just he and I.
So, yeah, imagine.
You got hundreds of businesses that's going on daily.
So, like, look at it from this angle. Like, you can only have so many hours in the day, and which is going to yield your biggest return on investment.
Right.
And for people like you and me, it's definitely not getting ready for a show because, as you said, I'm the happiest guy you'll ever meet. I'm always happy, always laughing, even in the worst situations. But Big J just said he almost punched me out after a show. Okay, now that says a lot about what a show can do to you when you get down to that body fat.
Exactly.
And you're just a dick. And I don't want to be that guy, especially when I have so much to lose from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, which is why I've decided that there will never be a right time for me to compete again. So my goal now is to just help people.
There's your answer right there. Business, family, friends, relationships, business, and return of investment. Yeah. So we're not knocking bodybuilding. I did it for 10 years straight.
It's been great to me.
He did it for years and years.
I love bodybuilding. We're just, bodybuilding.
I do too. Look, we still train like we're bodybuilders.
Think about the things bodybuilding. These are guys who don't even compete either. We know Mike. We know Big Rob. We wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for the love of the iron.
Absolutely.
And that has nothing to do with getting on stage, not life. Absolutely. That's all I'm saying. And I think that if you're in a situation, I've seen marriages ruined. I've seen relationships ruined. I've seen people get fired from jobs. Yeah. I had to fire a bodybuilder for this before, for prep. I had to fire a bodybuilder because I said, look, you either stop prepping or you're gone because you're messing everything up.
Right.
He said, I'm not stopping prepping. I'm like, well, go find another job.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but as an employer, I have a duty to my 20 other employees, my 30 other employees.
And the hundreds of businesses.
Yeah, to actually keep it running. So, it's one of those things where what I implore you guys to do is, if you're getting ready for a show, just keep committed to something. Doesn't mean that it's set in stone. You need to commit to yourself and to life before you just say, okay, I'm doing a show, I'm laser focused, but then your wife or your girlfriend or whatever who you love dearly says, I'm going to leave you if you keep this up.
Right.
I think you need to evaluate what your thought and opinion is on the situation.
Right. And again, the return of investment. I mean, is it going to take you to the next step of your livelihood or your financial institution or your retirement or your children's livelihood? So you really, again, 10 years straight, years and years of competing. I know that it got in the way of some of the things that I was doing because I took it too far, and I know that I put it too far on the back burner. So there's got to be a fine line that you draw if you're going to compete. And Mark just said it. All of the businesses and the families and the relationships and everything else that you got going on, you have to put it and compartmentalize it, physically and mentally and spiritually and financially. Everything has to be in line for you to be a successful bodybuilder and a successful businessman.
Yeah, and usually they can coexist, but I've seen more often than not, people have a tremendous amount of trouble juggling the two. And that's really what we need to look at is, can you juggle the two? Can you make it work? And that's really what it comes down to. For me, bodybuilding's been wonderful. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself. It's forced me to push myself beyond limits I've ever pushed before. But if it's, again, and also look at your overall health,
Right.
Competing for a long period of time, getting that lean, it's not healthy.
Yeah, everybody knows everything that's involved in competing to be successful, to try to be successful. All the supplements, all the nutrition, all the over, all the under, all the cardio, the dieting and the water depletion. It's very unhealthy.
It's not the healthiest, no. It's especially at the higher level. And also, as a natural bodybuilder, as natural bodybuilders, and I've competed naturally, and I'm sure most of you probably do. I hope so. When you're natural and you drop your body fat that low, your testosterone drops, your cortisol's through the roof, your serotonin levels are messed up. Just know that even if you're natural, you're still not in a healthy state.
Absolutely.
But I mean, and that's something to think about if you're doing show after show after show after show after show after show.
Yeah, you just burn yourself up.
And I mean, you got into health and fitness to look good and be healthy, and sometimes competing is so extreme it gets away from that.
And we have found the general medium. I'm extremely, 13 years later, still not wanting to compete. I get people tell me all the time, BJ, you should do a cut. You should drop 20 pounds if people want that. I don't want that. I've done it for years.
Yeah.
My financial situation where I'm at does not allow, not my financial, but my lifestyle, what I'm doing now for a living, does not allow me that extra hour to 2 hours of cardio and food prep and et cetera. I eat on the road all the time. He knows I travel 9 days out of the week. I'm saying I travel too much. And again, I've already done it. I don't really have the desire to do it again. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it. But we're kind of the older generation now.
Well, last week I ate at IHOP and Denny's a combined 16 times.
Yeah, wow.
Because I was on the road.
Going for my record.
Yeah, so I mean, I am their loyal customer. Both of them. There was a Denny's and IHOP right across the street from each other in Vegas where we were staying, so I'm like, I'm going to just roll right here.
I've done that. We got on a first-name basis.
Yeah.
In closing the video, what do you have to tell these guys about your competition years and what you advise them?
I advise you to evaluate your surroundings, evaluate what you're doing, do a benefit chart, what the positives and negatives of competing are, and then if you do decide to compete, if something comes in the way where it's actually going to hinder your life, to reevaluate if you're even going to do the show at all. But generally speaking, if you commit to doing something, commit and just do it.
100%.
All right, man, I'm good.
That's it, brother. Yeah, man. Stay tuned. Check out Marc's channel if you haven't already. All the links will be in the description box. We got an awesome chest workout we did yesterday. We're going to have an awesome back workout tomorrow.
Yep.
We are traveling next month. We're back on the road, brother.
Man, we got some epic stuff to come out with you. Like, we hear a lot of people complaining about doing stuff good, but we have a concept, and if it works out, it will be really epic, and we think you guys are going to like it a lot.
Please stay tuned for that. It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to love it. Till next time, Intensity Rules, train hardcore.
And that's not a game.
We'll see you next video.